I was in PCC for 5 years, and in some form or fashion. And what I loved through that process was getting to really see and witness the embodiment of legacy. Getting to, as a freshman, first year student coming into the space, not knowing anyone, but getting that sense that the other people who were older, who were there, they were carrying a story. They were carrying a memory of past PCCs, of past people in FSA, and passing on the traditions, the way we do these shows, the connections, the networks, the I mean, with Arlen mentioning who I was, I mean, that's part of the legacy.
By third year, a lot of the community, at least from my opinion, it was we really wanted to dig in our roots and what does being Filipino mean. Like no history, no self, no history, no self. I'm not sure if you also use that phrase, but that was a big phrase. So our core's focus was KNH times two, no history, no self. And that kind of leads to, I think I think one of the questions was, what does legacy mean to you? Legacy is, right, in my opinion, like recognizing the history and the foundation that was built through the decades, but also while recognizing that history, leaving your own mark too, like as the current generation, and leaving your own mark. That encompasses struggles. That encompasses anytime like your cores are arguing like that. That's like that those beautiful moments that eventually like bring everyone together, and it's like a beautiful struggle. And I had an idea that year, like I noticed that for Lupang Hinirang, the Philippine national anthem, like why is it that every year it's only IH singing it, but why don't we have the whole cast sing Lupang? And I was like, that when I had that idea, I was like singing all the aspects, singing Lupang. We were like, okay, let's do it. My cousin and I like agreed to do it. So I think that was the year that the whole cast started singing Lupang. We wanted to give people the experience of singing our national anthem. It doesn't matter if they weren't Filipino or not, but it was cool because they were exposed to a national anthem, and that national anthem has a deep history of colonization. Like Filipinos were oppressed. They were colonized by the Spaniards, the Americans, and actually it's crazy because they didn't even sing the national anthem in Tagalog until hundreds of years. Like they started singing the national anthem in English and Spanish, and it's like that's crazy because it's like you're not able to sing it in your mother tongue for hundreds of years. So that was like it was an educational opportunity for the cast as a whole, and it was like okay, like we were starting to have that discussion. So what does that look like in modern terms? How does colonization transcend even to today in 2017 or whatever year that was for us? So it was really eye opening for all of us to sing that song together as a cast.
We use this quote a lot. I don't know if it's still being used right now. But the first thing I thought of when I saw that question was, I think it was like someone somewhere sacrificed something for you to be here today. And when we think about it, we don't know those people. We can't really put a name. We can't really put a lot of names and faces to the people that kind of pushed FSA to go to 30 years. Like that's a very big milestone for FSA. I think that the fact that people still see the need in this organization says a lot. Definitely like putting effort is in a sense like leaving a mark, I would say. Every year, like I said earlier, like every year decides to continue on to the next one. And I'm just like, I remember when I was co-chair, there were almost 100 people in the cast. So it's like the fact that like that many people were so into it is, I think, incredible in itself. Like that's why PCC, FSA, ATAT, and Rainbow Theater have made it this far. Same with Los Migas, and I think they changed their organization name. I think it's like ISA or ISO or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the most memorable event for me was the very first time I performed. I actually had no intentions of being part of dance troupe. At that time, I was FSA treasurer, and I needed a purchase order signed by one of our staff. Staff members had to sign. So whoever was our sponsor, I went over because she was part of the dance troupe as well. She was she worked on campus, but she was a previous student, and she also still was participating with us, like in FSA events, even though she was a staff member. So I went over, got my purchase order signed, and they were practicing, but they didn't have enough people. So she asked me, "Can you just stay and just stand in?" So I did, and I got hooked into dance troupe. And they told me, "Oh, we have a performance coming up. Can you continue just to dance for just this one performance?" I said, "Sure." So practiced, and then that first performance was at a senior citizen center in Watsonville. And in the crowd, there were some Manongs in there. And after were finished performing, he came up to us. He had tears in his eyes, and he told us, like, it's been more than 60 years since I heard the sound of the bamboos clapping. So that was the day when I said, "Oh, you know what? There's something special about dancing." And I was hooked from then on. Giving us those experiences with coordinating events and all of that. Like, we could not have done any of that if it wasn't for the people before us. So I look to the Manongs a lot, and not just their generation, but my own parents' generations. A lot of, like, me personally being active in FSA had a lot to do with my dad. Um, he actually passed while I was in college, and I had gone back to the Philippines, and my view then changed. Like, it used to be very like this kind of, like, you want to assimilate, right? That was the how it was in the 70s, 80s. And then coming into the 90s, things, it kind of started shifting.
For me, it was the experience, being able to just really dive in and learn more about the history. Like, I did not realize like how many years of Spanish colonization. There was this, for my particular PCC, there was this epilogue. It was called Filipinos, Forgotten Asian Americans by Fred Cordova. I don't know if you guys know it, but like, I could recite it. And the very first part, I have to read this to you. We say we are Filipino, we say we are Americans. So who are we? More so, what are we? Brown, white, or are we still other? I mean, it just goes on, and I encourage you to look at it if you can. It was just so poignant. And the thing is, I remember some people's reactions were like, "Why are you guys yelling so much?" And we were like, "Because do you understand what we've gone through? We're just trying to get it across, and like how important it is to understand how hardworking, like what we had to go through to get to the point where we are today." So,
just answering your question, like, that's kind of like, what some indelible marks, that have, been pressed upon me in my experience at UC Santa Cruz. And I'm so thankful for it, because, it's, these experiences have made me who I am today, in knowing who I am, my history, my culture, the need for me to actually learn the language, because I was never taught it, because my parents didn't want me to teach, know it. So I don't have an accent, so I can be acculturated and Americanized. And then seeing how colonization plays out, and how, now through the consciousness of UC Santa Cruz, and how I learned about race, class, and gender, that gave me the lens to really deconstruct and understand things on a deeper level, and seeing how it plays out within the systems. And I believe that, with Santa Cruz, PCC, the broader community, that helped me build that consciousness to actually be where I'm at today.